guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about the MAC Next to Nothing foundation. It is a foundation that I have been testing for about 2 weeks now. It is a foundation that I am currently wearing, and it is a foundation that I have not heard anybody talking about. So I thought I would take this opportunity to tell you what I've learned about it, to show you the application, to give you my review, do some swatches, all of that good stuff. And there's going to be timestamps for all of that good stuff down below, so you can move forward to any part of the video that you feel like watching. So this Next to Nothing foundation, I decided to get a foundation in a new way 2 weeks ago. I thought I want to try a new foundation, test something out, and I've never really used a MAC foundation. I've used MAC powders before. I'm not going to talk about MAC as a company because I've done a number of videos on them, which I will link in the description bar down below. So I went to a MAC counter, no makeup on, and said, I want a foundation. I'm going to tell you what I want and you recommend it to me and we'll go from there. I didn't actually say that. I just said, I'm looking for a foundation. Can you help me? And they asked what I wanted and I said, well, I want something very natural. I want something that covers my redness, but because I am freckly and I have freckles on my face and freckles on my body, it would look really unnatural if I just had full coverage face, even though I have freckles everywhere else. So I want my freckles to show through. I want it to be comfortable, lightweight, and look very natural. And also, you know, I don't tend to have oily skin, but I do have some fine lines and that sort of thing. So she went away, she came back with this foundation and she applied it on me and told me the best way to apply it. And I bought myself some. Interestingly, I bought this at Nordstrom, and I guess there were 2 other people training that day because it was interesting to have a foundation being put on my face while 2 other people watched it being put on. So the Next to Nothing face color, I got mine in the shade Light Plus, and this ended up costing $38 Canadian, I believe, plus some taxes and things that we have here in Ontario. So let me tell you a little bit more about the foundation. You do get 35 milliliters or 1.2 fluid ounces, so you get about 20% more than you do on average when you're buying a bottle of foundation. There are 9 shades, so it's not a huge number of shades, but they do seem to be fairly well distributed. There are 3 deep shades, 4 medium shades, and 2 light shades. So although there's not a huge number of shades, they do seem to sort of cover a broad range of shades, if that makes sense. And you know, this is called Next to Nothing, so that's what it is. It's a very, very lightweight foundation, almost like a BB cream, or even a tinted moisturizer. If you are buying this in the States, it's going to be $31 American, and let me tell you the description of it here. It says it's an ultra balmy fluid infused with nourishing ingredients and opalescent microspheres for a youthful glow that looks lit from within. The sheer tinted cream can be used under or over foundation or to bring a translucent luminosity to the skin. The cushiony smoothing texture glides on over skin, diminishing the look of imperfections and fine lines while moisturizing and protecting skin. Skin looks immediately retouched. For best results, use with their full fan brush or a sponge. So they do claim that it's going to provide hydration, that it provides instant radiance, that it features a comfortable creamy formula, nourishes skin, immediately improve the look of fine lines and wrinkles, visually refines skin texture, smooths and softens oil-free for all skin types. So this is really what I want. I did not try it on top of other foundation. I can see that it could maybe correct or provide luminosity to something that was more matte. And when I do the try on in a few moments, you're going to see the kind of luminosity that it gives when it's first applied. A couple things to note about the ingredients on this. There is no SPF in here, and it was a criticism that I saw some people say in the reviews of this product. There is SPF in a lot of their foundations, so why would this not have SPF in it? Especially if it could be a really nice sort of very light foundation to put on a sunny day and, you know, wear something that didn't feel really full coverage. The very first ingredient in here is dimethicone, so if you are sensitive to that or don't like it, this may not be for you. They talk about nourishing ingredients in here. You get through a lot of the dimethicone and glycerin and that sort of thing first before you get to cucumber fruit extract, basically sunflower, barley. There's a couple of nourishing things in there, but not a huge number, and they're not super high up on the list. Now, when I do my try on, you're going to see the best way of applying this. When the woman at MAC was applying it, she did it with a dense brush. in a stippling motion and said you really didn't need to put anything on under it. She said not to use it with a sponge, which is interesting because on the website they said you could, but I also tested that method and I did find that it just soaks up so much of it into a beauty blender that you don't get as much coverage and the product doesn't go as far, and it doesn't look any better than when it's applied with a dense brush in a stippling motion. So I do agree with that, and I think it's a little strange on their website that they say you can apply it with a sponge. You can, but it's not the optimal way of doing it. I think the best thing for us to do now is to get into the application of this so you can see how it applies to the skin, and then a little clip from the end of the day about how it wears, and I will be right back after that. So let's do a demo of the best way that I have found to apply the Next to Nothing face color from MAC. You can see here about the bottle is it's got that nice locking mechanism, the same one you'll see on the MAC spray that everybody uses. Why am I suddenly blanking on it? MAC Fix Plus. So I've tried this a number of different ways, but surprisingly, the way that it was recommended by the woman who applied it on me at MAC is the best way to go. Now, she said you didn't need to use primers with it. I like to use a little bit of pore filling primer because that just provides a little bit of a smoother surface for this to go on. Let me zoom you on in here for the application part. As I mentioned, I'm starting with a pore filling primer and I'm just using my Professional. And for the pores on my face, which really are only in this area, I only need a small amount, less than a pea size. And that I just gently rub and dab in. You don't want to really swipe too much because you kind of want it to fill into the pores. So I move it around a little bit and then do a patting motion to get into those pores. And anywhere else that, you know, tends to have a little bit of texture, it can help with that too. But for me, it's really my pores in those areas. It doesn't say you need to shake this up, but I tend to because I always think that more liquidy foundations should be shaken up a little bit. And then I'm basically just going to take this and put some dabs of it on my face. Now, the brush that you're going to use with this is a densely packed face brush. So I have right here the Real Techniques Expert Face Brush. And what you're looking to do is stipple this around your face. Now, when they did this for me at the counter at MAC, they worked it from a palette onto my face. I don't feel the need to. I can just start from my face and work it around. You're going to see how incredibly luminous and dewy this is at first. Now, because this is a very light coverage foundation, I mostly concentrated either where I have some color and redness that I want to cover, or just in the center of my face, because for me, I find if you get sort of this area looking, you know, more flawless and a little bit more coverage, and then, you know, work a little bit less coverage out to the outside of your face, it ends up looking more natural with less product. And that's it. It's almost hard to see the difference because you still see all the freckles and everything coming through, but it's very luminous. I'm going to zoom in once more so you can see without the face filtering that my camera tends to do. So you can see how shiny it is right now, and it's really provided no coverage, but it's just smoothed everything else and taken away any of the redness that I had on my face. Now I am going to end up powdering a couple parts of my face that I either want to blend blush on top of, or, you know, like around my nose here where I don't really want it to be luminous. But before I do that, I'm going to do my concealer, and because this is a very natural look, I'm going to keep my concealer pretty natural and just put it sort of where I have a little bit of darkness. Now, it used to be that I would always do my concealer with a beauty sponge because that's kind of how I see everybody doing it. And it never occurred to me to use a brush because everybody uses a beauty blender, and I love a beauty blender on the rest of my face. However, I have this little fold in my eye, and I'll zoom in to show you. It's sort of like this fold that comes down there, which makes it very hard to blend into the inner corner of my eye. And I have found that a brush really lets me get in there with much more accuracy. So I'm using this little concealer brush that we got from Crown in our last BoxyCharm. And with this brush, I can just sort of put it right into the places where I actually want to cover some darkness, and then work it right into where I want it. And there we go, my under eyes are brightened up a little bit without it being unnatural in any way. And now I'm just going to set some of my face with powder. I'll powder just in the middle of my forehead to take the shine down there a bit, just around my nose and onto my chin. And then because I do want to put some blush on, and I'm just patting so that I'm not like swiping away any coverage that's there with the foundation. And there we go. This is incredibly natural base makeup. You would have a very hard time, and I'm just gonna again zoom in very close, telling that I had any makeup on, no matter how close you were to me with this base makeup. It looks very natural and just takes down the red and provides a little bit of coverage and dewiness. I'm gonna go get all of the rest of my makeup on, but you will have seen that already at the start of the video and again at the end of the video. What I will do is put a little clip in here from later on in the day to show you how this has faded throughout the day. Hey guys, it's about 6 hours later and I wanted to show you what the foundation looks like at this point. Not only has it been about 6 hours, but I also went out and walked for 2 of those hours and went about 10K. So this has been through some stuff in the cold and out doing things, being active, and I thought I would zoom you in and show it to you. So you can probably see that it has faded at this point, but I still feel like it evens my texture out a little bit and that you can still see a little bit of the blush that was there. So while it definitely does fade, I feel like it gives still that wash of color, and if I went and took it off with a makeup wipe right now, you would definitely see that there was still makeup left. It just still stays looking really natural. So now that you've seen the application, let's pop into some swatches so you can see how Light Plus compares to some other foundations in my collection. This is the MAC Next to Nothing Face Color in Light Plus. This is Rimmel's Stay Matte BB Cream in Light. This is the Ordinary Serum Foundation in 1.1N. This is L'Oreal True Match in N2. And this is the Sephora Make No Mistake Stick Foundation in Birch. As for my review on this, I like it, but you have to really know what you're getting with this. I mean, as far as the product itself, it's a little on the pricey side, but you do get, as I said, about 20% more than you usually would in a foundation. You do get a beautiful glass bottle and a nice locking pump here, which makes it great for travel. And I do like the way it looks on my skin. For me, this is the perfect base product for going to work because it is incredibly natural. It just corrects a little bit of redness, makes my skin look smoother and more luminous, and just does what I want a base product to do. But if you have acne, if you have a lot of discoloration, if you have things that you really want to cover, this isn't going to do it for you. It's really just about providing a bit of a tint or a bit of a color to your skin. Now, when I was younger, I had terrible acne, and I understand that this is not going to be a product that you want at that point. At this point in my life, when I'm getting a little bit older, I don't have the acne as much anymore. I still have some blemishes, and for this, I would spot conceal either underneath the foundation or possibly over top. I think it's best to go underneath if your concealer isn't a perfect match for your skin. But I feel like my skin has been more under control lately, and therefore I don't want to hide it. I want to, just reduce a little bit of redness, give it a little bit of luminosity, and this really does that. Now, it does fade throughout the day. You're not going to be going a 12-hour day with this stuff. It probably looks best for about the first 5 hours in terms of giving coverage, and then it starts to fade, it starts to wear away, but it's not going to do it in a way that looks patchy. It never gets pilled up or anything like that, at least on my skin, and I really like the way it looks. And I even find at the end of the day, like after putting it on 9 hours later, I'm looking at my skin going, I don't see any foundation there anymore, but my skin still looks better. There's something that my skin really likes about this foundation, even though, it's dimethicone. It's nothing that crazy in it, but it still seems to make my skin look good for the rest of the day. There is a part of me that wants to say if a product is not super high coverage, then why are you paying, $38 for it Canadian? But if you want this kind of thing, you can get BB creams at the drugstore. This feels like a less coverage version and glowier version of The Ordinary, which is also one of the ones that I like, their serum foundation. And there's a part of it that very much also feels like the Rimmel Stay Matte BB cream, but there's just something about this that makes my skin look nicer and is just that much more lightweight and dewy looking, which I really enjoy. I also have to say that when I first started using this, I thought they gave me a color that was much too yellow when they matched me for it, but I find that it gives me a healthier looking glow. It's maybe a shade deeper than I would have chosen for myself, but I tend to choose shades that are too light. So I think this gives me a really healthy look. So all in all, I think this is good. I think if you want to buy something that is just going to correct color on your face, give you luminosity, not settle into any fine lines, not look cakey at all, but doesn't give you like any coverage really, it just corrects redness, then you may like this. I'm gonna keep using it. This is probably now my go-to going to work, getting my foundation done kind of product because it looks good and I really like it. So that is my review of this. I would love to hear if any of you have tried this product, what you think of it. It seems to have kind of mixed reviews, I think, just depending on what people are looking for. If you're looking for any kind of coverage, this isn't going to be it. But leave all of that in the description bar down below. I do try to respond to every comment that people leave for me. What else am I going to tell you? I'm a YouTuber, so I'm going to tell you to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification because that is what we do. I am going to go get on with my day right now, and I hope you guys are having a lovely day as well. And I think that's all. Is that all? That's all. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.